Maailma, kylässä radio. Pysy kuulolla.
Welcome, Iara Lee, and thank you for joining us here. Greetings on behalf of the World Village Radio. You are a film producer and director and the founder of Cultures of Resistance Network Foundation. And you recently put up almost all of your films for free on YouTube and Vimeo. And I've been watching some of them, and what kind of boggles my mind is how diverse your topics are. There's everything from mountain climbing to Chernobyl to the farmers in Burkina Faso. And what I've been wondering is, how do you find the stories that you want to tell?
It's all about life serendipity, you know, and life is this kind of diverse journey, and you meet all these diverse people. So I go around the world making connections and bridges about all these issues that surround us. And I truly believe that we are one world, you know, we are, like your festival says, you know, a village. And I think it's important to show these connections. So sometimes you're like, what is this related to that? But at the end, you know, and even the foundation that we have a Cultures of Resistance Foundation, you know, and people are like, oh, it's about the women, it's about the children, it's about ecology. And I'm like, no, it's about everything, you know? So we support ecology through the foundation. We support children's rights. We support human rights. And you know, it's kind of creating a network. And we work with a lot of people who are dedicated on specific things. But we ourselves, we kind of make bridges.
Yes. Also, one of the common themes that I noticed in a lot of the films is how you bring up the meaning of arts and artists as tools of resistance. And in your documentaries, you also often interview many local artists and poets. And since you yourself are a filmmaker, where do you see your role in resistance and the role of artists in general?
Yeah, because I used to run a film festival in Sao Paulo, Brazil in the 80s. So I come from the arts and culture world. But as I evolved, I realized that we just could not afford to just stay with the arts and culture. We had to use that for something beyond arts and culture. So I started to, you know, using that to engage about bigger issues, human rights, children's rights, ecology, you know, all these that I mentioned, because the world is like, it's climate change. It's like this tsunami, this climate change. The world is now this virus, this pandemic. The world is about, you know, sea rising and indigenous rights being, you know, completely not protected. And there is so much going on that we have to use every tool we have available to make baby steps towards, you know, positive change. And through music, photography, dance, poetry, film, I think we can move hearts and minds, you know, and I think it's a beautiful way to really reach people, because if you are dry like a political analyst, or if you write something very like world affairs and technical and, you know, analytical, it will be harder to use that to reach people, you know. But if you have a powerful photo or a powerful song, you can really move masses. Obviously, we make films that are grassroots, so we are not like dealing with mainstream audience, but I still think it's very, very effective tool for positive change.
There's one thing that still intrigues me is how you've been all over the world. You've interviewed the child soldiers in Congo, you've been to the slums of Rio de Janeiro and all these grim places, but still you managed to find that glimmer of hope, that glimmer of peace and unity among people. Where would you say is the glimmer of hope in regarding this corona crisis, for example, or the climate change crisis?
Yeah, I think, you know, in all these very adverse and negative situations, we always find these amazing activists and people from the grassroots movement. Sometimes a lot of anonymous people who are just doing their work quietly in the background, you know, and we just have to kind of like sometimes put a spotlight on these amazing people. I mean, even in war circumstances, you find these courageous people, helping people they don't even know in hotspot areas of the conflict. And this has been to me very amazing to find that even if you are in this like darkness, black hole, there are always glimmers of hope. And this is what I try to bring, because to talk about negativity, this is like headline news every day. This is what the mainstream media does, but we are not going to solve problems just denouncing and just showing the negative. We're going to solve problems bringing the grassroots to work together and get action. So I go around the world looking for these people, and looking for the ones that are selfless, that think big picture, that think global, but, sometimes act local because this is the right thing to do. And I think this is the same thing with this pandemic. We are finding a lot of people who are very incredible, very solidarity based. And this is the way for us to create these links, I mean, look at all these nurses and these people working for us, and the minimum they say is like, stay home just to reduce the contagion while we stay here working, and that is just like incredible. And I think we should really like give this spotlight to all the people working and to make this difference. And as I said before, it's not about the top, it's about the grassroots and working from the bottom up. And since this is affecting us, all the billions of people on this planet, so all these billions of people on the planet should be the ones that will act to provoke the change we want to see. Like, we cannot transfer the responsibility. It's not like, oh, this is the job of the government. This is the job for leaders. No, this is our job. This is our job as global citizens.
Yes. And one more thing that I would like to ask is that we are living in strange times and in many ways scary times, like with the aforementioned climate change and everything. And sometimes it might feel like that it's just overwhelming, that these problems are too big and that there's really no hope. But what would you like to say to people who have kind of lost their hope and who have fallen into that apathy and despair?
Well, especially when people put children, in this world, they have this big responsibility. To be hopeless is not even an option, People always ask me, Iara, you go to the worst places in the world and you're always smiling, you're always full of hope. And I'm like, because there is no other option, You have to engage, you have to be proactive, you have to smile and be like, So people, don't stay home and frozen, We all can do tiny bit. We cannot do huge. But if we all do a little, things will change. And then, the offspring that you guys put in this world will have a better future. So it's not even thinking about us, our generation. It's about thinking about the next generations, and the responsibility we have to make them inherit something that is not so catastrophic. So, hope is the only option. And baby steps, I know sometimes we get like overwhelmed. It's like, oh, maybe there is no hope, this is just a black hole. But, we can't. We have to keep on going. Even if we don't manage, even if we self-destroy as a species, we have to still keep on going until the very last drop of air that we can breathe.
Yeah. Thank you. Is there anything else you would like to say to the listeners and watchers of our show?
Well, donate your time, donate your music, donate your love, donate your skills. Use all you have within your capacity to make those changes. Don't delegate. Don't pass the responsibility. We all have to do it. Global citizenship. That's what it is. And with a lot of smiles, and a lot of like hope and, in a positive way, despite the fact that the tsunami is negative.
Maailma kylässä radio. Pysy kuulolla.